Chris has fuel. Chris drives to work. Life is good. Then one day, a single ship gets stuck sideways in a canal. Chris tries to fill his tank. The number on the pump keeps climbing. Chris stares at it. Chris does not blink. Chris is having a moment. What just happened? How does one stuck boat make the whole world more expensive? Today, Chris is going to explain the entire global oil system, where it comes from, how it travels, and what happens when it breaks in a way that will make everything suddenly make sense. Buckle up. This gets wild. What is oil? Let's start at the very beginning. What is oil, and why does everyone lose their minds over it? Every single day, Chris uses oil. Chris drives to work on it. Chris flies on vacation with it. The plastic water bottle Chris drinks from? Made with it. The road Chris drives on? Built with it. The medicine in Chris's cabinet? Refined from it. The perfume Chris sprays before a big date? You guessed it. Oil powers almost everything that moves, and it quietly hides inside almost everything that doesn't. If oil disappeared tomorrow, Chris wouldn't just lose his commute. Chris would lose his economy. No transport, no trade, no food on shelves. Chaos, pure chaos. Every country on Earth wants oil. But here is the problem. Oil does not grow everywhere. Where does oil come from? Long, long ago, we're talking hundreds of millions of years ago, tiny sea creatures lived, died, and sank to the ocean floor. Over millions of years, layers of rock pressed down on them. Heat cooked them slowly, and they transformed into the thick, dark liquid we now call crude oil. Today, Chris and his kind dig extremely deep into the earth on land and under the ocean floor, searching for these ancient pockets of liquid. When they find one, we struck oil. But here is the catch. You cannot just pump it straight into your car. Raw crude oil is messy, unpredictable, and frankly useless in that form. So Chris sends it somewhere special. The refinery, the oil refinery. Here, workers heat the crude oil to extreme temperatures, separate it into different components, and remove the impurities. The result? Gasoline for Chris's car. Diesel for the trucks delivering Chris's online shopping. Kerosene for the planes flying Chris to his holiday. Natural gas for Chris's kitchen stove. And dozens of other products that end up in everything from plastics to pharmaceuticals. Raw oil in, refined products out. The refinery is the most important factory most people never think about. Now the products are ready. But how does Chris actually get this oil from the ground to the gas station? The Strait of Hormuz here is a map. See this narrow strip of water sitting between Iran and the Arabian Peninsula? This is the Strait of Hormuz. It is roughly 33 kilometers wide at its narrowest point, and roughly 1 in every 5 barrels of oil exported anywhere in the world passes through it. 1 in 5. Through a gap that, geographically speaking, is basically a hallway. If anything disrupts this hallway, a war, a blockade, a threat oil supply to the entire planet drops almost instantly. Prices spike. Countries panic. Stock markets wobble. And Chris stares at a fuel pump again, not blinking. Which brings us to why you clicked on this video. Before Chris continues, if this is already making your brain light up, hit that subscribe button right now. Chris explains complicated things in simple ways every single week, and you do not want to miss the next one. Why oil prices go up A&D down oil price is simply supply versus demand. If there is plenty of oil, price goes down. Chris happy. If supply gets disrupted, price goes up. Chris sad. Most countries keep emergency reserves, strategic stockpiles of oil stored underground or in giant tanks that can soften the blow of a short-term disruption. But those reserves are not infinite. They buy time, not solutions. So what actually disrupts supply? Natural disasters can knock out drilling platforms. Equipment failures shut down refineries. Political decisions, new laws, sanctions, trade restrictions can cut off entire pipelines. And then there is the big one: war. The Iran situation on February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel conducted strikes on Iran targeting its leadership. The mission itself succeeded from a military standpoint. But Iran responded in the only way it realistically could, not with matching firepower, but with geography. Remember that hallway? The Strait of Hormuz? Iran sits right next to it. And Iran made a very clear announcement to the world: tankers entering this waterway do so at their own risk. Chris does not need to physically block the strait to strangle oil supply. Chris just has to make it terrifying enough that nobody wants to go through. 3 scenarios show what happens next. Chris sees 3 possible paths. Scenario 1. Things calm down. Diplomacy works. The strait reopens, oil flows, prices normalize, Chris fills his tank without flinching, everybody breathes again. Scenario 2. Things stay tense. No full war, but no peace either. The strait stays dangerous. Some brave tankers risk it, most do not. Oil supply stays shaky. Prices stay high and unpredictable. The global economy limps along, stressed and expensive. Scenario 3. Full escalation. The strait gets mined. It closes entirely. 20% of the world's oil supply vanishes from markets overnight. Global prices do not just spike, they detonate. Every country that depends on imported energy gets hit simultaneously. Supply chains collapse. Inflation surges. Governments scramble for alternatives that do not yet exist at scale. Chris really hopes it is scenario 1. Alternatives now. Can Chris fix this? In theory, yes, electric vehicles reduce dependence on oil for transport. Solar and wind reduce dependence on oil for electricity. Better urban planning reduces the need to travel at all. These are real solutions with real momentum behind them. The alternatives are coming. But they are not here fast enough to save Chris from the pump prices of 2026. So, Chris started this video with a full tank and a simple question. Now Chris knows how ancient sea creatures became the fuel in his car, how it crossed an ocean in a supertanker, how a narrow waterway in the Middle East holds the global economy hostage, and how a single military strike in early 2026 sent ripples through every petrol station, every supermarket, and every household on Earth. The world runs on oil. And until it doesn't, every one of us is Chris staring at that pump, watching the numbers climb. If you want to understand more systems that quietly run the world, check out the next video on screen right now. Chris will see you there.